You know, for most of us, a 30-year mortgage is just, well, a fact of life. It's the standard path to owning a home. But what if that path could be a whole lot shorter? What if you could own your home free and clear in less than half the time, and get this, without changing your income? I know it's a bold claim, but it's all based on a strategy that completely challenges the way we think about debt. So let's break it down.
So let's start with a big question. Is a 30-year mortgage just a timeline? Is it just 360 payments and then you're done? For decades, that's just been the accepted norm. But today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that assumption and show you what those 30 years of payments are really costing you. Because the true cost isn't just about the time. It's baked into the very structure of the mortgage itself. Let's dive into the core problem with the standard 30-year loan, a problem millions of homeowners are dealing with every single month. To make this super clear, we're going to follow a case study, a pretty typical household in a place like San Diego. They've got a $775,000 mortgage at 5% interest. That puts their monthly payment, and this is before taxes and insurance, at over $4,000. Sound familiar? For a lot of folks, it probably does. So where does that $4,000 a month actually go, especially in those early years? Okay, this is the part that might make your jaw drop. After 4 full years of payments, this family has paid over $150,000 in interest. But the amount that went to their actual home equity, the part they own, just about $49,000. And you'll see this term HELOC strategy here. We're going to get to exactly what that means in a minute, but it is the key to flipping this whole dynamic on its head. Just let that sink in for a second. For every single dollar they paid to build their own wealth, they handed over more than $3 to the bank. This right here is the fundamental problem with traditional amortization. That's just the fancy term for paying off a loan over time. Your payments are massively front-loaded with interest, which means your progress building equity slows to an absolute crawl. So if those huge mortgage payments aren't the best way to build wealth, then where should your money be going? Well, this next part might actually surprise you because it kind of goes against everything we're taught about saving money. Let's go back to our family's budget. After the mortgage, car payments, credit cards, all the living expenses, they have about $2,200 left over. And they're doing the responsible thing, right? They're putting it in savings. But here's the crucial detail. Their usable monthly cash flow, money they have on hand to make strategic moves like attacking debt, is now zero. It's all tied up. And what is that hard-earned savings actually earning them? A whopping $8.54 a month. I mean, that's maybe one fancy coffee, and it's definitely not beating inflation. It's basically doing nothing. Now, look at this. What if they took that same $2,191 and threw it at a high-interest debt, like a credit card sitting at 12%? They would save over $145 in interest charges. That's a huge difference. And this comparison shows you the core idea here. You get a much, much higher return on your money by paying off expensive debt than you do by letting it sit in a savings account. And really understanding that principle, well, that's the key that unlocks this whole other way of doing things. It's the foundation for what we're about to get into, the HELOC strategy. First things first, what even is a HELOC? It stands for Home Equity Line of Credit. And no, it is not a new mortgage. The best way to think about it is not as more debt, but as a financial tool. It's kind of like a checking account that gives you access to the equity you've already built in your own home. So the strategy itself is actually a pretty simple, repeatable loop. Step 1, you access your equity by borrowing from the HELOC. Step 2, you reallocate that money to knock out higher interest debts or to pay down your mortgage principal. And step 3, use all your newly freed up cash flow to pay back the HELOC as fast as you can, and then you just do it all over again. All right, theory is one thing. But let's see exactly how this plays out in the real world for our San Diego family. The very first move, and this is the most important part, is to increase your cash flow. So they take out $50,000 from their HELOC. Now, they don't just dump that all on the mortgage. The first $12,000 goes straight to wiping out that high-interest credit card debt completely. And boom, look at the immediate impact. That $800 a month credit card payment, it's just gone. When you add that to the money they were already saving, their available cash flow skyrockets from $0 to almost $3,000 a month. Now that is a powerful engine for paying down debt. Okay, so with that cash flow problem solved, the rest of the money, the other $38,000 from that first HELOC withdrawal, gets applied directly to the mortgage principal. That single payment literally shaves years off the loan. Just like that. That first move is a huge win, for sure. But the real magic? The part that makes this all work so fast is when you repeat the process. This is where you really start to pick up speed. So here's what that cycle looks like. They use their new nearly $3,000 cash flow to just hammer that $50,000 HELOC balance. They pay it off in about 18 months. Then, what do? They immediately do it again. A few years down the road, their car loans are gone, which boosts their cash flow even more. Now that HELOC payoff cycle shrinks to just 15 months. You see? Each cycle gets faster and more powerful than the last. And what's the end result of just repeating this cycle over and over? That 30-year mortgage is completely paid off in just under 12 years. That's more than 18 years of payments just vaporized, gone. Paying off your house 18 years early is incredible, right? But what does that actually mean in dollars and cents? And, just as important, what are the risks you need to be aware of? This slide breaks it all down beautifully. The strategy saves over $472,000 in mortgage interest. Now, of course, you do pay interest on the HELOC. That's about $29,000 over the whole process, but when you subtract that cost, you're left with a net savings of over $443,000. Think about that. You spent $29K to save $472K. I'd make that trade any day of the week.
But we have to be super clear here, this is not a magic wand. This strategy absolutely demands discipline. You have to manage your cash flow like a hawk, stick to the plan without fail, and keep your spending habits responsible. You need to be financially stable to even start, and you have to be aware that most HELOC rates are variable, meaning they can go up or down. This is a tool for people who are focused and disciplined.
And that really gets to the core of it all. This isn't about having to go out and get a second job or making huge, painful sacrifices. It's about, and I'm quoting the source material here, a more efficient use of existing financial resources. It's about making the money you already have work smarter, not harder. So, we'll leave you with this question to chew on. If you could strategically use one form of debt, like a HELOC, to obliterate a much bigger, more expensive debt, like your mortgage, would that change the way you look at that 30-year sentence? It's definitely something to think about.